Hi Jared, this is Hal Jacobs, PGA professional at Worcester Country Club. Just reviewing our lesson today. A couple things that we worked on. The first thing, and you've got a really good golf swing. You said you're hitting it pretty good. I don't want to mess and overhaul a lot. I want to kind of tweak a little bit. The first thing I see in terms of setup is your leg bend here. It looks like you're sitting back on your heels, and this is at the beginning of the lesson. And here's a guy with a lot of leg bend. This is Nick Faldo, and I think I measured you at like 66 degrees. Basically, I'm just taking from your the middle of your thigh, trying to get your thigh bone there. Anyway, so here's a guy with a lot of leg bend, Nick Faldo. But when we look at guys your size, like Ernie Els. Take a look at his leg bend. He's more like that. A guy like Stuart Appleby. I mean, it's just a little bit taller in the knees. I still want a knee bend, but not as much as I'm seeing over here on your side. And let me just draw a couple lines. Obviously, I don't know how much you know about the golf swing, but this is what's called swing plane. This is your spine angle. We'll draw a box around your head to kind of see if it's moving all that much, and draw one more line here to see how well you stay back. So as you're coming right up the swing plane, which is really good. And that move right there, you could see how much your knee is straightened. If I go back, a guy like Stuart Appleby, look at him at the top of his swing. His knee is straightened a little bit, but not a whole lot. You look at like Ernie Els, and you look at his knee bend at the top of his golf swing. It's straightened a little bit, but not to the point I could see air in here. So that's a little bit too much. And I think by you straightening your leg, it's pushed your head outside of this little box. If I go back and draw that little box on Ernie Els, take him up to the top. His head's not going to move too much out of that box at all. So, that's one thing I will work on. Setup is making sure that your knee flex isn't as much as it was. Let's go back to your swing here. And as you come down, it's a little bit of a big swing in terms of too much. That's a great move. See how you've moved your knee back? You've compensated, but you can only do that so many times before you become disconnected and you hit fat shots or thin shots. The straightening and unstraightening of the leg isn't a good consistency move. And your head's back in the box. You've done a great athletic move. You moved away from this line a little bit. And take a look at your spine angle now. Remember, we were working on those 50, 60-yard shots, because your spine angle has come up out of the shot a little bit, and you're going to have to compensate for different moves like that. And if I go back to that Ernie Els example, if this is his spine angle, as he comes into the shot, you see how he's keeping that spine angle pretty much on par with what it was at the start of the golf swing. If we go back to the start of the golf swing, you can see it's right there. So that's kind of what we worked on in terms of your full swing. Let me just bring up your face-on view so you can see what other guys look like. Here's Ernie Els in terms of setup. I like the face-on setup, but this elbow I think, could be a little more relaxed. It looks a little stiff, like you're kind of pushing it out. And you could take a look and you see more of the top forearm on his left arm. So that might be something you might want to think of when you're setting up. Jared, you talked about being a little bit unflexible, and I didn't see it that much, but in looking at it in slow motion, I could see one area you need a little bit of help and flexibility. It's in your neck. I want you to take a look at your head here and watch how much it actually moves. It rotates back as you're taking your backswing. And let me just go back to Ernie Els here. And the camera moves a little bit at the start, so I can't exactly start at the start of that clip. But his head at the top of his backswing, you see how it's angled a little more at the ball, and yours is kind of pushed away. That's a little more out. I see it a lot more in your chip shot, so that we worked on. But that's something that we, once you kind of get your setup for where we want it to next week, we can work a little bit on that. And let me just real quick bring up your setup. Your pitch shots. Remember, we didn't do anything funny. We opened the face a slight bit. Ball position is right here. We took a normal stance. We used the lob wedge. Your hands are not that far ahead. And the big thing here was the shorter backswing, and that was that was even farther back than you saw it. And then as you come through the shot, keep your shoulders and your hips rotating through, even though it's a little pitch shot. And that's going to get the ball to fly higher and less fat shots and scald shots across the green. But one thing I did notice is your head. Take a look again. Take a look at your head as you start to take the club back. And see how it turns off the ball. And that I don't like that much. We'll talk a little bit about that next lesson. I would like it to stay kind of centered and looking at the ball, but just remember a couple of things. You were hitting bad shots because you were sliding ahead of that line. On this one, you rotated very well around it. But on your bad ones, your hips are going to slide that way. So let me just bring up real quick, when I was at the Masters, I had a chance to videotape David Toms hitting some pitch shots and take a look, similar backswing. His head, though, look at his head position and look at how much he rotates through in terms of his shoulders and his hips for such a short shot. It's neat to watch these guys hit little shots around the green. You wouldn't think that their body would rotate that much. But when you're finished, even on a little pitch shot like that, it rotates a lot. So, Jared, give me an email or call if you have any questions, and I'll see you next week.